How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
Ronnie would know.
Speaking of the 90s, I would know what.
Yeah. Oh, Alice in Chains and their acoustic ballads.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What were you just, wait, what were you just, was that, fuck.
I bet you can get there.
It's like the girl singer, right?
Yep.
I thought it was the Discord chime.
What the fuck?
It may or may not help to let you know that the singers, well, there's two singers and they're twins, and one of them is from the Pixies. Does that help? You can probably already picture
L7? Is it L7?
No. A little more.
Give me.
That's pretty good, pretty decent guess. About that same time, but a little more.
I know
poppy.
the band.
They really only had that one hit, but they were around for quite a while.
What was the band?
I almost forgot. The Breeders.
Oh, is it the Breeders?
Yeah, and the song was Cannonball.
Love that era. Man, I have spent close to fucking $1,200 on concert tickets in the last 3 months.
Oh my God.
So you saw two shows.
I am going to see Taking Back Sunday, which is a big band I love that I've never seen before, at the Chateau Saint Michel winery. Because
that's cool.
The
cool
emo
venue.
generation is now fucking ancient
Playing
when we're
wineries.
going to shows at a fucking winery.
Yeah.
Coheed and Cambria are the headliner, which I don't really care for, but I love Taking Back Sunday. Oh my God.
I kind of surprised you're not into Coheed.
I try. The voice is funky to me. Like, it's not for me. But
Yeah.
I also got tickets to Brand New. I don't know if you're familiar with this band.
Well, that's one of your. Oh no, Thrice is one of your favorites.
Thrice. But Brand New is from that era. But they are ensconced in controversy because the lead singer is they stopped playing shows 10 years ago because a bunch of allegations came out about him grooming very young teenage girls. And it sucks.
That may be how I know that name, because I do know the name.
Yeah.
What was the band?
Brand New. They are brilliant.
Oh,
Jesse Lacey is the lead singer, but he never like. I don't want to sound like I'm defending him because he's a piece of shit. But he would like basically interact with young 14, 15, 16-year-old girls that would come to a show and send them messages and invite them out to shows and do things with them, but like he would never, from my understanding, he never like slept with them, but he still did awful things where he would like, I wish you were just a little bit older, and why don't you send me some photos?
Yeah. They
Totally.
groom them until they're legal, and then they're like, "What? They're legal." Yeah,
and
it's fun.
It's so fucking shitty. And he did do this, blanketed apology when the allegations came to light. And I was like, there was no real accountability taken. It was like, I've done awful things to people, and I'm sorry for that. I have a sex addiction. I've gone to therapy for the last 10 years. I'm married with kids now, and my life is different, that type of thing. But
let me guess, he's a born-again Christian.
I don't know if that's true or not.
That's where everyone goes when they... Russell Brand, suddenly a Christian. So
it's been 9 years or 8 years since they toured. They canceled their last tour because of this.
Okay, so he's still with the band.
Yeah, I love the band. I'm very like top 5 for me. And Brand New was the band Katie Surgery Jeff suggested we listen to Limousine, that song about the girl that was killed in the limousine accident.
Nice work, Katie Surgery Jeff.
You did
any
it.
more groomers you want to turn us on to out there?
I know she got tickets too. I confirmed, but I was like, I was complaining to her. She's like, "Oh my God, did you see the fucking price of these tickets?" I was like, "Oh, I bought 2. I'm donating plasma next week to cover it. Don't worry." She's like, "Yeah, they got to cover all the lawsuits and shit." And I was like, "Ah." So I'm just gonna separate the art from the artist and go have a good time. But I got tickets to that, and I got tickets to a band I love called Lucius. They're coming through, and they're doing I got the VIP tickets for me and my lady, so you get to like meet and greet and get a photo and all that jazz. But yeah, a lot of fucking money, man. But I'm like, what?
It's absurd. Yeah, I mean, even just to go see a band in a big stadium and you're in the nosebleeds right now is fucking. You gotta sell something.
Totally. Your sperm ain't cutting anymore, Roster.
No, I can't give the stuff away.
And I tried.
Well, speaking of grooming, have you guys seen the documentary? Are you familiar with the Onision? I don't know if I ever brought that dude up on the podcast, but I remember going down the Onision rabbit hole a while ago. He was one of these early YouTube influencers. Didn't really, he just did these like silly little videos. He wasn't like a gamer. He wasn't really, his shtick was just kind of being silly. And it was early on in the YouTube phenomenon. And he had a lot of success with it and became mega wealthy. And he was totally grooming, from basically day one. But the older he got, the younger they got. And I remember, I don't know how I came across it. It was just one of these vlogs that I follow. You know how you'll follow somebody and then they'll get obsessed with something. Like a lot of people were getting obsessed with the Gabby Petito case, and that's all anyone was talking about for a while. There was a period where this whole community online, especially YouTube, was talking about Onision. And more and more people were coming forward, but it was fascinating because so much of the stuff was caught on camera, and abuse was straight up caught on camera, and then some of the girls that he was living with were freaking out. Someone just shit a biscuit. That so sounded like
I
turd into toilet.
Twang.
That was like sitting next to somebody in a public bathroom.
Yeah, and you would know.
That really took me off my game for a moment. But anyway, there's a 3 or 4 part documentary series. But Chris Hansen got involved with it. He went knocking on his door, and then he kind of got embroiled in scandal himself for, crossing some lines or not doing his research or whatever. This is a big, interesting story. But a brand new, I think it's brand new to me, documentary series just popped up. I can't remember what it's called, but Onision. It's spelled one ison, all one word, O-N, something like that. Anyway, the grooming made me think of it, and really, it's one of those things where it's fascinating to watch, and it's a fascinating story and gripping in a way, but he's just he's such a fucking creep. Yeah. That it's almost not worth watching because you have to spend so many hours staring at a creep. Something that is worth watching, and I won't spoil it at all because this show's going to go up tomorrow because we're a little late. But I just, maybe 15 minutes ago, watched the White Lotus season finale.
Season 3?
Season 3 finale, yeah.
Okay.
Thought it was pretty interesting. John Mark,
no spoilers.
No, I figured that I might be the only one that watched it. I know John Mark's watching. I can't remember. Chris, are you watching that show?
I watched the first season and about half of the second one, and I mean to go back.
Yeah. I can't really remember, but I feel like I preferred the second season to the first season, but I may be wrong. But the third season, it was good. Yeah. And the ending, I'll only say that some things I felt like I saw coming and some things I didn't. And overall, I felt like it was an interesting choice. It's one of those shows where it can end in so many ways. Probably more with this season than anything because there's a lot of moving parts to this. I mean, there always are. For anyone that's not familiar with the concept of the show, it really is just sort of following these individual people. You know what it kind of reminds me of is, I mean, not in tone at all, but I wonder if this was even part of their concept coming up with the show. But it kind of reminds me of The Love Boat because you had. Wow. Every week you had new people arriving and there would be these little stories and you would follow their stories usually to the end of the episode. Sometimes they carried over a few episodes and you had your mainstays. This show doesn't have a lot of mainstays from season to season, but there's a tiny bit.
Usually 1 or 2.
Yeah, literally 1 or 2.
Which is great.
Yeah, it's cool. It's interesting. And sometimes it's a huge part of the story and sometimes it's just there. But with the reason it reminds me of The Love Boat is because it's of that structure. It's just these are this is the passenger. These are the passengers for this week, and you meet their you follow their little love stories, or maybe there's some
But
drama.
It's a whole season instead of just a show or two.
Yeah, and then at the end of the season, if all goes well, everyone gets on a boat and goes back home. But it's a very interesting show, and I don't know. It's a funny show for me to have gotten into, I guess, because I'm usually not into what I would just refer to as straight up drama. It's really got to be compelling these days. I'm mostly into fucked up deviant shit. Mostly documentary series is what I spend my time watching. But I'm glad that I gave this a shot, and I found myself pretty engrossed immediately when I first started watching the first season, and I had the luxury of streaming 1 and 2 back to back. You know, they were already out. And in fact, when I finished the season finale for 2, the season 3 had already premiered, and I thought that it all dropped at once, so I gave it a go. And then when I went to hit next episode, I'm like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah,
but I did
back to reality
with this and Severance, which also just wrapped up. I did give in and watched it because I don't know. I don't feel like many people I follow. I don't spend much time on social media these days, but you never know. This feels like the kinds of shows that could be spoiled. You know, something crazy happening,
for sure.
and someone saying something, and so I was like, I don't want to risk that. I'll just watch it. But now, anyone that hasn't seen it, now you got 3 seasons to cruise on through, and yeah, fascinating show. Interesting, and it kind of just occurred to me tonight that it was the Love Boat that it was reminding me of, to some degree. But,
sure.
Before we move on to anything else, this will mostly be a little bit of rambly, getting caught up. I got some things I want to talk about, but we haven't talked. I'm curious to hear how Hawaii was, Chris.
It was fucking great. I had a really wonderful time. Me and Ember went, and we were there for about 5 days, and you know, we did things like, one of the coolest things we did was we rented a car, which I was really grateful for, because we ended up going out doing a bunch of adventures.
Yeah.
But we drove up to the main volcano mountain there, and you drive up 10,000 feet above sea level, and you are above the clouds, and you can watch the sunset above the clouds. And I've just never seen anything like that. It was wild.
Is that what you sent us? You sent us some videos of you at some massive...
Yeah, it was cool. Another cool thing we did was we went on a tour guide through like a bamboo forest, and it ends up at like some waterfalls and shit. And it was just 4 of us in the tour guide.
Yeah.
And we get to this waterfall, and she's like, they told us ahead of time. They're like, bring your swim gear under your hiking stuff if you want to be in the water. So we were in swim gear, and I got about waist deep, and the guide is like, I got this GoPro, man. No, nobody else wanted to get more than waist deep. She's like, do you want to go up to the waterfall? And I was like, no, I don't. And she's like, are you sure? And I was like, no, I'm not sure. And I fucking swam up to that waterfall. And let me tell you, I didn't think I was going to make it. The current was wild.
Okay. You had to swim to it.
So I fucking swam up to that goddamn waterfall. I had to cling to rocks to get there. But it was something I just never will do again, probably. And but like, I mean that in the way, like, I won't have the opportunity.
Like you won't. Right.
And I'm so fucking glad I did it. Like, here, I'm gonna send you guys.
Well, isn't this kind of working through some fears of yours? I know. Or is it just
like
the ocean,
so
or is it water? Period, like rivers and lakes?
It's really the ocean. It's ocean creatures. You know what's down there. God.
Yeah.
But did that, and I was so fucking grateful I did it. We found an incredible dive tiki bar and just fucking got hammered on tiki drinks.
That's where I would picture me.
I would say like my best story about Hawaii though is coming home on the plane, and I don't, I'm not a religious man, and Ember strangely doesn't believe in seatbelts on airplanes. Like she won't put it on. I'm like, why won't you wear that? And she's like, well, what are we gonna do? What's it gonna fucking do in a crash? And I'm like, nah. But
fair point.
Flying into Seattle, man, had the worst turbulence I've ever experienced, to the point where I'm making peace with the God I don't believe in. And this bitch is reaching for a seatbelt faster than I've ever seen it.
It could not hurt to make peace with that God you don't believe.
I was like, man, it really, for a moment, put me off of flying. I was like, I don't know if I want to take a trip anytime soon.
At the same time, you got through it, and it's so common. It's crazy how unless you're flying all the time, it's a very rare occurrence that we get that next level turbulence. I've been pretty fortunate flying, but I had a couple. It wasn't like so how long were you experiencing this, would you say?
Probably 7 minutes. Like, not long.
That's an eternity, though. That's an eternity, though, up in a plane. So I was going to say oh, go ahead.
Yeah. It definitely had a peak. Like, we were bumpy, but then drop, and then bump.
It's the drops that get me.
Yes.
It's weird that it.
And then you just feel, you're like, man, are these wings gonna fucking snap off? Or
yeah, and like with everything
the whole
that's been
thing's
happening
gonna
with
collapse.
planes, I was just like, is this where I die?
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah.
And like what's even odder, it was one of the, so most of the flights I take are like 2 rows on one side, 2 rows on the other. These were the bigger planes that had like 2 seats on one side, 2 seats on the other, and 3 in the middle, or 4 in the middle. Yeah. And a bunch of kids were on that flight. And they were like, wee!
Yeah.
And Ember's like, Jesus, fuck! Screaming like that. We're like, because we were scared, man. But
Jesus,
the kids
fuck.
just like,
oh, man.
Like, don't you know we're dying? Like, what are you weeing about?
Well, that's the one thing that always made me feel better is because I am not a frequent flyer at all. I think I've flown like 15 times my entire life. And they've been short trips. Like a flight to Hawaii would be a huge thing for me. I think the furthest I've flown is LA or Vegas. So, but it's flying. And whenever that shit starts going crazy, I look around. You can tell the people that fly all the time. They're usually there alone. They got the newspaper. They just look like business people. That they're another plane, another day. Looking around and just seeing them continue to do their crossword while you're kind of slamming into the side of the person next to you, and just like you're like okay,
yes,
well
like,
they're not freaking out.
Doreen, I don't know. You say you don't fly very often, but one of the things they almost always do on flights is try to sell you a fucking credit card. Like they're like, "Well, join the fucking Alaska Air Miles program, and we'll give you 40,000." And so, like, while we're dying in midair, these bitches are cruising up and down the aisle holding credit card pamphlets. And I'm like, "Are you fucking crazy?
What do you got to lose? Unless we live, and then you win-win." Yeah,
that's how they get you. They make you scared for your life, and you're like, I better do this right now.
I don't feel like I've ever experienced that. I think I just reek of bad credit score.
No, I mean,
like,
it's
we
a
can
really
skip
common
that guy.
thing. Yeah, that's weird.
Well, I haven't flown. It was great. The last time I flown was probably 2005, 2006. It's been a while.
Jesus, man. Every time I fly, I honestly think of Lyle. Lyle, I always think of you, man.
Oh, yeah. You never been up in the air, huh?
Yeah.
Well, no.
Well, it's something, man. It ain't my favorite, but it's pretty magical that you can just sit down and then end up somewhere so fucking far away. Completely different weather. I mean, you were in the tropics. Did everything look like Gilligan's Island?
Kind of. You know what's wild is there's chickens everywhere. Wild chickens every fucking
I've seen that in videos, yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. I was like, oh my God. I drank 1,000 Mai Tais. so felt like it was great.
I'm trying to think. Oh, no, I think that might be closer to... Well, there's a famous bar where... Well, let me just look it up. I have a machine. The Soggy Bottom Bar. I think it might be nowhere near Hawaii. But that's where the painkiller was invented. And that's what I want to drink in Hawaii, even though I don't think it's Hawaiian drink. It's just a bunch of fucking coconut cream, super strong rum drink to knock out. I think it's Pusser's Navy rum. Okay, Soggy. Oh wait, Soggy Dollar. I'm thinking of the Soggy Bottom Boys from the Coen Brothers.
They usually are.
Soggy Dollar Bar is no, it's in the Virgin Islands, which I honestly couldn't point out on a map unless it was clearly labeled. I'm so bad at geography because I have never really had to be otherwise. But anyway, Hawaii is the first place I would like to go, like first major trip. I guess Hawaii is considered overseas. You are literally going overseas, even though it's the U.S. Yeah. But destination one that I'd like to go to is Ireland. Always been, and I think that's a pretty popular. Like if you could go anywhere in the world, I think that's pretty up there. It's a common wish. But I would also really love another one that I'm sure is common is just I really want to see Stonehenge, man. I want to see Stonehenge. I can't explain it because I know that unless you really know somebody these days, you can't even go up and touch it. But I don't know, just standing there and seeing all those ancient, even just I studied I was fascinated with it for a lot of years. So even like the outskirts of Stonehenge, I feel like I would recognize as we were getting close, as I did when Leah and I drove all the way down to Area 51 and we were going through like out in the middle of the desert. Nobody should recognize anything. I was recognizing shit like it was my hometown. I was like, oh, there's where we played baseball. It's like, oh no, we're almost to the black mailbox, which is painted white now. And yeah, you take a left.
Thanks, Trump.
Take a left at the cow and take a left at, just like all these little things you got to watch for. I knew them. And it was a similar thing, but those are my two destinations.
That's how I feel about the pyramids. I'd really like to see those with my own two eyes.
Is that a good segue for what I'm going to talk about tonight? We got some shit to talk about.
I want to actually go and do some research because I've been a lot of rumors going around about the pyramids.
Oh yeah, well we're gonna get into some of it.
Cool.
Well,
where I'd like to go.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask.
I don't, because I can't fucking travel. I haven't been able to travel in 7 fucking years.
Yeah.
But I would like to go to Iceland, and I would like to see the black sands.
The black.
They have beaches that's got all black sand. It's fucking cool.
That sounds familiar, but I don't know if I've seen that. Black
sands.
Yeah,
it's in Iceland. You Google it. It's
the sand.
A lot of
as black as metal.
Isn't that like volcanic sand or something? Like,
oh wow, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking cool.
Oh, but even more interesting and striking than the sand itself are the cliffs, the formations. It's kind of like super skinny versions. The cover of Led Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy. Kind of like pillars like that with black. There's like a solid black sand and then a gray sand with a clear line in the sand right next to each other. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen this.
Dude, Iceland's got it all. They got like volcano fucking little hot spots you could take a bath in. It's just in the middle.
I hear Bjork lives there. She's there all the time.
She's so cute.
Yodeling.
Why are the cute ones always crazy, Lord? I tease, kind of.
No, it's like a go-to for a lot of YouTubers that did photography for a long time. They have this huge niche, and they all go over there and do some pretty wild shit.
It's just everywhere you see is beautiful. It's cold though.
Yeah,
it lives up to its name. John Mark, I know you've probably done more traveling than any of us, but what's one place that you haven't been that you would like to go?
I have not been to New Zealand or Australia, and I would really like to go to both of those places. I'd also like to go to, I've been to Japan, but I've not been to Korea. I'd like to go to Korea, I think. And of course, obviously, Norway.
Your homeland.
Yeah.
Yep.
Norway. Oh, Norway. I was thinking, for some reason, I was confusing Iceland with, I'm sure they got their fair share of black metal, but
yeah, I wouldn't mind going to Iceland too, but Norway first, I think.
Yeah,
you do it on your way there.
That could be a fun trip.
I said when I was younger, I always wanted to go to Prague. It was Mission Impossible, the movie. They filmed it in Prague, and I was like, "Fuck, dude, that place is fucking gorgeous."
Those women
I always
are hot.
thought I'd like to. Well, it's just the stone cobble streets and all that good shit, and then the history of it all.
Yeah, it's just the places are so much older than the United States. Like the United States is so new, even our oldest places. And we have some kick-ass architecture, don't get me wrong, and some very charming cities, but it's just a completely different thing. And you look at like London, like some of their downtown areas, those buildings look so fucking old. They're almost castle-y. But
they are old. They're 1,000 years old. You look at us,
and then you have the castles.
300 years.
We ain't got no fucking castles. We got some forts. I know.
It's amazing how far we've traveled. In the last. I mean, how old is America? It's like what, 17 something.
Not even 300.
200, 300.
So like 300 years. I mean, we've come all the way from the East Coast, all the way to the West Coast, inhabited about every place you could. and in the United States, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of boggles the mind a little bit.
Yeah,
and even Canada and Alaska. But it's not that long. It's like 3 generations. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
4 generations.
It's like a few super old people. If you live to be 100 or so, it's 3 generations. It's wild to me. Yeah.
Isn't that insane? That's insane.
Well, yeah. Have you seen all these new videos coming out of North Korea that people are sneaking out, like with their phones and stuff, of all the fake restaurants and fake stuff? You know, we've seen some of this before. Like even when Vice went over there and they filmed right out in the open, they were welcomed to this giant banquet where every table was filled with all this food. But some of it was definitely fake food, and some of it seemed to be real food, but nobody ate, nobody sat, except them at this one table, and it left like dozens and dozens of all these tables. You know, we've seen that shit, but I don't know why or how, but a lot of people are now starting to smuggle out their own videos of just showing like day-to-day life in North Korea, and it's like starting to get out on TikTok and other means of streaming, and it has been fucking fascinating to see, man. It is a whole different fucking world. It's like nowhere you go, nowhere you can point the camera at, nowhere you can be is out of sight of men with machine guns. It's just, they're fucking everywhere. Like it is a 100% militarized state, and it's fucking terrifying and weird, and it's so wild that it's still like that. Crazy. I wonder how many people, we always heard that the North Korean dictators would convince the people, and this was easy to do, I think, at one point, that there was a Korean map that was way bigger, like it showed Korea being one of the biggest nations on planet Earth. That can't possibly still be true, right? Like there has to be enough internet leakage that people now know that
I don't know
either.
I mean, maybe some of them, I mean, you know what I mean, but not enough to like not enough to, because they're pretty fucking locked down.
But it seems like enough of the stories would get around.
I don't know. There might be a few people here and there that, but
don't you think people would talk?
Who are you going to tell? Like everyone's like.
I guess the bigger point is, okay, so there's a big world out there. We're stuck here, so what does it matter? I mean, maybe that's the bottom line. Key raising. But you all brought up pyramids. We got to talk about this fucking pyramid stuff in a minute. But first, we also got to talk about, we lost a biggin just a couple days ago. We lost Val Kilmer.
Yeah, crazy.
He'd been sick for a while, and, he lost his voice to throat cancer. He had to talk, he had to have one of those little holes to talk out. And so it's been sad for a while, but I don't know. It seemed like he'd beaten it, and as good as he could, and he'd probably be around a little longer. But I was bummed about that one, and I posted on Facebook, and everyone was kind of weighing in with their favorite Val Kilmer characters or moments or features. Obviously, for me, I think most of us remember him. Well, we remember him for a lot of things, but we tend to bring up his portrayal of Doc Holliday more often than most, and I think that's totally fair. But one of my favorite movies that he was in, I don't hear talked about very often, Real Genius. It was one of the early ones, and I don't know where in the timeline. I feel like that was before Top Gun, but maybe it was right around the same time.
Oh, definitely before.
Yeah, it was before. It was
seemed like he was younger. But
was that the spoof, like the spy spoof?
That's Top Secret.
That's top secret.
No, the Genius one. He was like he was like trying to. He was like a student, but then he became a professor for college or something.
They were working. No, they were genius students working.
Oh, that's what it was.
They didn't realize it at the time.
Am I crazy, or like I'm just now thinking about this? I'm pretty sure the guy. What was his name? Was his character's name Laszlo or something?
Laszlo.
He lived in the closet. Isn't that the same guy that's in White Lotus?
That's in White Lotus. Yep.
And was Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For some reason I immediately recognized him from Real Genius, but it took me longer to recognize him as Rico because of the hair piece, I guess, because he was kind of bald in Real Genius. He just had a beard, right? Kind of a shaggy beard. But the premise of Real Genius is just a bunch of, it's this college that has a bunch of genius students working on technology, and, without their knowledge or consent, they find out that they're actually working on some technology that will be used for weapons. But yeah, I think Lyle said popcorn.
popcorn is scene at the end.
Very prominently featured. But one of my favorite Val Kilmer lines is when he's sitting up on the roof and he's figuring out that shit isn't happening right, and he doesn't like what he's signed up to do, but he just says, I believe it was Socrates that once said, I drank what? I don't know what it is about that line. It's always resonated with me, but R.I.P. for sure. What about you guys? Favorite Val Kilmer performances, movies in general?
Mine will always be Mad Mardigan. I fucking love Willow, man.
Mm-hmm.
He had this real Han Solo vibe in that movie, right? Just I don't know.
Yeah, and actually simultaneously Indiana Jones too, where you trying to be tough and cool, and then you reach for your gun that's not there, or fall while you're flipping the sword. Yeah, I don't think when I was young that I put it together that was the same guy from Top Gun or Real Genius, honestly. But Lyle, what about you?
I would say Doc, but Batman too. I mean, he did a good justice for Batman.
He doesn't get enough. He didn't get enough credit for. I thought he was a good Batman as well.
Yeah,
and if George Clooney hadn't come along, then he probably would have been considered the lesser of all those '90s Batmans. But George Clooney, that was the one with the tits, the nipples.
Yeah, the nipples. Yeah.
I thought he played
a
decent enough Bruce Wayne, but we'd had such interesting turns at that character before then.
Totally.
John Mark, what about you?
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of all of them. Like, I think I've only seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang once, but I remember liking that one.
Wow,
what a great movie. That's a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't hear people talk about that at all.
Of course, The Doors, obviously, right? Like
that was spooky.
Was he in Heat?
He was in Heat. Yeah, that's a great movie too.
Yeah,
Robert or Al Pacino.
I read this. I read this thing on Jennifer Tilly's Instagram the other day. I don't know if you guys have heard this story before, but she was talking about how she went to a casting call for when they were doing The Doors. And she said it was just there's just tons of people there, right? And at one point in the later in the day, this convertible or something this old convertible pulls up and it's blasting the doors, and this guy jumps out and he's wearing leather pants and just kind of swaggers into the thing, and it was Val Kilmer just embodying Jim Morrison, and everyone was oh, well, we're fucked.
Yep.
And that was it, because he was just I'm doing this,
It's one of the most incredible, crazy and spooky accurate performances in cinema history. And however you feel about the movie, there's no denying that. And he was singing those songs. He wasn't supposed to sing those songs. I just saw this on a TikTok reel or something, but I don't know if it was Oliver Stone he was arguing with, but the producers were trying to tell him, we're going to have you lip syncing to either the original songs or someone who sounds exactly like Jim Morrison. And he's like, let me learn the songs and let me sing them to you. And if you can tell the difference between me and Jim Morrison, and he sort of did a blind hearing test, if you will, which one's me and which one's Jim. They couldn't tell the difference, and so they let him sing it. And he worked
one of the
for
guys
months
from
and
The
months
Doors,
learning those songs.
Multiple of them. I read a quote from him. I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm pretty sure it is, just based on what you're saying, is that the guys from The Doors literally couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, they were creeped out, in a good way too. But Kyle MacLachlan, who played Raymond Manzarek, he learned all those keys too. I remember he played on one of the late night shows with one of the bands, maybe it was to promote the movie or maybe it was much later, but they're doing Light My Fire and he was playing it. Like, the motherfuckers, this movie
that's awesome.
Is like, people don't do that.
Right.
They don't do that now, and they rarely did it back then. So, yeah, The Doors was a special movie, and that really brought the Doors, the real Doors, back into the spotlight. And I remember everyone was crazy about the Doors when I was in high school. And my parents are like, this is so
what
weird.
The fuck's going on?
Hearing all the kids listening to the Doors. I guess it'd be like a Nirvana biopic. Although I hear the kids listening to Nirvana. Now I think everybody listens to everything. But back then, all that shit was new. The idea of classic rock, and even oldies, was kind of new back then. So, yeah, that would have been... Our parents went through the first sort of generations of that.
Yeah.
But on that note, I was listening to a funny interview with a local jazz aficionado that I interviewed, or that I featured a story on in the latest issue of the comic. And they were talking about, this jazz, when jazz was all the rage first coming out. That was the music of the devil. The parents were listening to classical, or maybe some of the earlier, like, hybrid of classical and
stuff.
Jazz. Yeah, Benny Goodman and stuff. The safe jazz. Jazz for white folk. And then the kids were getting into... some of the more what we consider like the important jazz. But even going back one generation before, they're talking about how the parents who were more into the Benny Goodman stuff like that, like even going back one more generation, the super tinny, like, oh, on a Saturday night, gonna go dancing tonight, oh, Buffalo gal, that stuff. Their parents thought that was the devil music. That is endlessly fucking funny to me, that some parents 100+ years ago were listening to their kids dancing those old-timey goofy dances to they can turn,
and now we
turn down
literally
that
do
racket.
have devil music, and it's fucking glorious.
Yeah, smart asses, we went ahead and made real devil music for you. That'd be kind of fucking hilarious if someone did like a throwback of that, but it was all Satan. It was like satanic lyrics, like worshiping the devil.
Well,
Anyway.
have you listened to Twin Temple at all?
No, I don't think so.
It's all like kind of like I don't know. It sounds like Amy Winehouse, but satanic, like doo-woppy. It's like satanic doo-wop.
Okay.
Try to make me go to heaven, and I say,
I won't
pretty
go.
much. You should check them out, dude. It's fucking
Try
great.
to make me read the Bible. I said no. That's good.
Twin Temple.
We'll have to
Their
check
latest
that out.
album is called God Is Dead.
Well, it was funny.
Fair. I mean, he is. He did die.
I'm a sucker for subtlety. But as teased 3 months ago when we last podcasted, that I was going to take one of Sarah's daughters to the daddy-daughter dance. There was some of this happening there because there was some old-timey music that was definitely for, and when I say old-timey, like Pearl Jam and
fuck.
Or even,
fucked.
Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Like there was some older dance music.
Hey, Joe.
And it was funny to watch the dads get all excited and then the kids get all excited. And rarely the twain did meet. But yeah, that was an experience. My first daddy, probably my last. Although I told Sarah, I was like, her oldest daughter wasn't super interested in dancing. And, she's the queen. She's the junior apple blossom queen. So she kind of had duties to do. I didn't realize that she'd be so busy all night. But one of the cutest fucking things, I did finally get her on the dance floor. It's like, we got to dance at least once. And if you hate it, then you'll never have to do it again. And she hated it and we never did it again. But she had fun. I love being out on the dance floor, just getting goofy. The funnest dancing is when you're out on a dance floor with a bunch of people who don't give a shit about if they look cool or not. You know what I mean? It's just like,
totally.
That's why wedding receptions are so fun, because it's just everyone's out there just getting goofy and being silly. That's all dancing is. I don't care how good you are at it. It's still just like, turn the music off and just watch people dance. It's the stupidest, silliest thing you've ever seen. So just go out and have fun. And I haven't done that in a long time, so it was fun to do that. But my favorite part of that evening was, these kids are like 11, 12, 10 years old. They're the junior royalty. But there were these tiny little girls that came to this dance. they saw the Junior Apple Blossom royalty, and they got starry-eyed like it was fucking Taylor Swift in front of them. They went running up to him. They got photos. So she got to be famous for that night, and I didn't see her
love it?
Sign any autographs. She did, and she didn't. You know, she's she is easily overwhelmed. It was a very overwhelming night for her because she's a big deal right now, and this was a huge event. I thought there'd be a few hundred people there. There was about at least 1,000 people in there. It was the entire ballroom of the center, and so it was fun. But it was a whirlwind. But it was so fucking adorable to watch these little girls, because you just know they went home. It's like, I met the queen and the princess. I'm going to be that when I grow up. It was like, that's fucking adorable. They're looking up to these already tiny children. I know 11 isn't tiny, but it is to me. And so that was pretty fun to watch.
That's cool.
Get out there and bust a move with some of the dads. They had a daddy dance off. I was kind of busy monitoring a certain group of kids that didn't want to dance, and so there were some daddies that were taking turns, like keeping an eye on them, because the kids were really wanting to run all over the place. This is a big room.
No freak dancing. I'm watching you.
Just me with no hat on, folded arms. I look like an evil Mr. Fucking Clean. I'm a good babysitter. So I didn't do the daddy dance off, but I went over to watch the finale of it, and it was these two dudes, and one of the daddies was straight up fucking break dancing. And I was like, okay, the competition's over. But he looked at me. There's this huge crowd, and he looked at me, and he pointed at me. I'm like,
you want to do this?
And I'm like, I thought he was calling me out. I was about to do it. But then he pointed to his head, and I was like, oh, he wants my hat. I had my black fedora on. And so he wants my hat. So I just tossed it out like a Frisbee. He caught it, and he did some pretty impressive, like Michael Jackson-esque hat flipping. Did some spins around, and then he tossed it back, and I was dicking around with my phone because I just got video of him doing that with the hat. But he threw it so fucking perfectly. If my head had been up, it would have landed on my head like a fucking ring toss. And I told him afterward, he was thankful that I tossed him the hat, but I was like, I ruined the coolest finish that your dance could have possibly had by me just standing there, bald as fuck, all the spotlights hitting my already sweaty, glistening bald dome. And then the hat just perfectly spin lands on my skull. You know,
well, thank God you actually threw the hat to him. You couldn't possibly have had a hat removed from you 2 times in the last 5 years.
Well, it's different when it's taken as a charm of war. A spoils of battle. 2 very different scenarios.
Yeah, totally.
I'm back here with my hat. God damn it.
John Mark's texting us something here. Oh, this is the satanic. I'm going to give this a little play here. I like that it's like old-timey Flesher cartoons for the video. Oh, it won't play in my text. Got to open it in the app. It's called Satanic Orgy. Let's give a listen.
These cartoons are adorable.
Yeah.
They sound a lot like anyway, man.
Oh, this is going to be a new obsession. They're all completely naked. There's even a little cartoon bush.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, we gotta bring this to the Halloween burlesque show. Oh, there's blowjobs and butt fucking. This don't mess around. I'll bookmark that for later.
Yeah, save these.
Yeah, new fetish unlocked. Cartoon pussy.
Yeah, they've got
satanic
two full albums out, and they're both real good. The newest one I think is better than the first one, but they're both real good.
Before we run out of time, we got to talk about this pyramid shit. Have you guys all seen the story? There's so much going on right now that
I've heard bits of it. I haven't sat down and watched.
It's potentially one of the biggest historical finds in modern in the modern era, and because the world's just chaos right now, it kind of got buried. So I don't know how many people even saw the headline, and if they saw the headline, I don't know how many people bothered to read it. But this researcher group has been using, it's not radar, it's something a lot like radar, but
LiDAR. LiDAR.
Yeah. What is it?
It's called LiDAR, but
yeah,
the
I think
thing
that's
is it's typically they use it in like jungles to find old cities that are overgrown. What it does is it eliminates like the vegetation. Like what it is a drone, and it goes in patterns and basically uses the LiDAR. What it's supposed to do is see through all the foliage down to the ground, and that's how they can discover all these cities, like in
the lost city of Zinj.
Aztecian, fucking cities, dude, that are like 10 fucking miles long, that are all buried in the jungle. And that's what they're saying is the technology. And that's what kind of made me wonder if it was real or not, because LiDAR doesn't really go down as deep as what they were saying they were finding and stuff.
Well,
but I'll let you continue.
There's not a lot to add to that in terms of the technology. One thing that I heard, this is controversial. I mean, there are, from what, my brief little research and looking it up and seeing what different entities were saying, it seems kind of split. Like there are a lot of experts that definitely know their shit, and they have the credentials, they have the experience behind them to know their shit. And then there are a lot of people who are conspiratorial and or maybe more paranormal minded, and they keep in mind or they keep open the idea of things like the Anunnaki and the ancient alien stuff. But even it's like some of those people shot it down, and some of the scientists shot it down, but some of everybody is supporting it and believing that this technology checks out. Now, one of the things that is strange is that this particular type of ground penetrating science is typically used it can detect vibration, and they use it a lot to find active lava tubes. They use it to study magma flow under the ground. And
we should say what I think. There are people that don't know what they found. I don't think we've said what was found yet, really.
Well, we're getting there.
He's building up to it.
The bottom line is this technology is often used to find things that are actively moving, not so much to find things that are static that far down. But there was a combination of technologies that they used and a combination of ways that they analyzed what they found. Now, what they found is, again, according to them, these massive columns, 4 to 6 of them going all the way down from the base of the pyramids, going all the way down over 2,000 feet. And these columns within them have spirals that spiral, again, from the bottom of the pyramid all the way to the base of these massive columns. And underneath the columns, it even detected structures and something that looked man-made. Now, 2,000 feet tall, to put that into perspective, the Empire State Building is under 1,500 feet tall, and that's from the tippity top of the lightning rod. So you think about, I mean, it's hard to comprehend. And of course, you can see the readouts that they provided, and you can see some stuff down there, and you see how they got to some of those conclusions, and then you see their detailed, like rendered, this is what we think we're seeing. That's where you get the detailed columns and spiraling all the way down there. Now, like I said, some of the researchers are saying this is amazing. Something is definitely, whether or not it's actually something that looks like that digital illustration, they agree that this is a massive discovery. Like, enough people are taking this serious, and again, enough people that with the credentials, not just internet gumshoes or people who watch the History Channel, but actual experts. Now, of course, Zahi Hawass, the former head of antiquities for basically the literal gatekeeper of all things Giza, and not just the pyramids and the Sphinx and all the famous ones, but really all of Egypt and antiquities. Yeah. And he's saying, no, everything in here is wrong. It's bullshit. That technology is bullshit. But he said that before about things that were proven to be correct. He's a gatekeeper, and he does not. There's a few things about Hawass. One, he's a total cunt. There's no disputing it. There's also no disputing that he has been part of some massive discoveries. And he's been important in protecting Egypt. You know, that's one of the big things. But one of the reasons he wants to protect it is that he doesn't want anybody else to have any more of the big discoveries. He wants to die having the most important discoveries and doing the most work in his lifetime, at least. And he's pretty much, he hasn't come right out and said it, but everyone that knows him, everyone works with him, knows that this is a big part of his personality. That's why he's such a pain in the ass to work with. But he also does genuinely have a respect for this stuff. So it's hard to take him at his word with all of that said. And even though he's no longer the head of antiquities, he's got enough sway over there and he kind of set the blueprint for people to come in and, continue to sort of gatekeep and protect. And there should be some of that. But when it comes to an archaeological discovery like this, it seems that everybody would want to know, and whatever it would take to safely and non-destructively get at least to the next level of that should be something we all agree on. But it's interesting to see how it's being fought, even just to use more technology. We're not even talking about digging, but funding further studies with this group and with this technology and developing new techniques to look further down. But it really captured my imagination. Of course, people are talking about all sorts of things, like this could be where the fabled Hall of Records are. You know, this idea that there's this Egyptian Hall of Records is sort of a mythological thing, almost like Atlantis, but like Atlantis, there's some truth to it. I mean, we know that there are sunken cities. It's not a made up thing. And we know that the Egyptians kept some pretty detailed records of important things. So it's not hard to imagine that they would have some sort of mega collection of this, like we do, with libraries.
Why so fucking far underground?
Well, that's where it starts to get into. This is why I thought for sure I'd be seeing like the ancient aliens people going nuts over this. Like, to me, this looks like something, especially that illustration. It looks like something that is meant to propel the pyramids into the sky somehow. You know what I mean? It's like, what are those spirals for? But if it was going to be like some sort of library, ancient library that holds all the secrets of the universe, not just the secrets of how we built the pyramids.
Well, the thing is that there's a few people that actually already kind of like questionize what the pyramids were, between the Queen's Chamber.
Giant springs. What? This giant springs.
No, I'm being
crunch them down and they pop up and
boing back into space.
Yeah.
That's so their record players don't skip.
Yeah, exactly.
Christopher Dunn, he's been on Ancient Aliens, and he thought there were power plants, and he actually made a little downsized replica of it, and proved that it did function as a kind of like a Tesla in a sense. With water and acid down through the lower chambers, and as it came up through it spent radiation through one of the holes in the top of the pyramid. So I don't know, is it kind of like maybe it's meant to be kind of like a Tesla at its ground level,
giant batteries or something? Well, giant batteries is one thing that's being talked about.
Water would be a thing they need, and if you drill down far enough to get water, Egypt, the beautiful thing is like we kind of joke and but like there's a video game, it's Assassin's Creed, right? They go through like myriads of in the past and whatnot, but they have one that's called Origins, and it's about Egypt, and they actually sold the game as basically a reference of the time of what everything was and what it looked like back then. And they tried to be as accurate as they could be, almost to use it as like a teaching
Well, yeah, they literally have a
tradition.
historical mode in it that you can do. It's like it takes like all the kind of the gamey stuff out of it, and it's like you're just like walking around in Egypt, like the best they can tell what it was like at the time.
Yeah, back then it's a fucking
pretty
cool
crazy
idea.
I'm not seeing much. I'm googling Assassin's Creed. Was it?
It's called Origins.
Oh, Origins.
It's just basically based in the Egyptian time, the pyramids and stuff like that. A lot of people say that basically it was more like a tropical back then, where there was waterways all the way up to the pyramids, and that eroded the Sphinx. If you look at the Sphinx, it's got water erosion on it that looked like it's through either like a first or the last of our ice ages, and it had a flood or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It flooded it and then kind of just dissipatedly down and down and down and down. But like during the time that the pyramids were made, if they were making these columns that went all the way down that far, who's to say that they didn't make the columns first and then the pyramids on top of it? It's hard to say.
There's so much this could be anything. I have a hard time. I mean, if we're really, to Lyle's point, if we're believing this technology and this is what they really found, I have a hard time seeing this as just some fluke of nature down there. There's too much structure and too much repetitiveness. I mean, we do see that in nature, so it's not impossible, but yeah,
we're talking thousands of years old, though. The pyramids are thousands of years old. We were just making fun about America being only like 300 years old.
And who knows how long the civilizations were. We have
thousands of years
hypotheses, but we don't really know how long people were around and trucking along before the pyramids were even made. This could be, who knows? There could be a whole fucking city down there.
Well, the thing is like when the Egypt was discovered, when the pyramids and the Sphinx was discovered, it was almost buried to time. I mean, it was almost gone. Mm-hmm. You would never know it was even there. Mm-hmm. And they luckily, discovered it and, pulled the sand away from everything. That's how they found everything, like the Sphinx. And
there was nothing visible with the Sphinx.
And if you look at the Valley of the Kings, man, it was all buried too. With time, sand just fucking buries everything.
On this same time, I mean, we'll wait and see. Obviously, maybe nothing will come of this, but it's made enough mainstream news, and this isn't just like some dude that wrote a book and went on the Art Bell show. This is like really getting some scientific traction. Now, that doesn't mean it's ultimately going to be recorded in history as a major and true discovery, but we shall see. But in that same 2-month stretch, they did discover a brand new tomb, and because grave robbers stole all of the adornments to the entryway of the tomb has not been cracked, but there's no markings to tell them if this was one of the missing pharaohs. They haven't all been accounted for. And so there's a lot of exciting news coming from Egypt. But one of my favorite stories that's come up, you see the dude that snuck up and climbed to the top of one of the pyramids. I think it was the biggest pyramid this last week. We've seen that happen before too, but every time...
Was he climbing or was he paragliding?
No, he climbed. He ran past the guards, hopped up on the first stone, and he went all the way to the top. And it is fucking fascinating to watch. I think he live streamed it because they certainly would have confiscated his phone once he came down. But
I mean, that's prison, right? That they take that pretty seriously, don't they?
I don't know what the well. Let me see if I can find punishment. But you guys got to find this footage. It is so fucking fascinating, and it's like this is one of those things that I'm of two minds about. It's like, don't go climbing on fucking ancient shit, you dipshit. But
let's see what it looks like up
there. Since you did, I'm a watch.
Did we do that footage of the guy paragliding over and there was a dog at the very top just walking around?
There was a dog. Yeah, that's what Lyle was, I think, maybe thinking of. But this is brand new. And he goes bit by bit up the whole fucking thing. And there are all sorts of little things up there. Like modern vents and stuff
the whole time, people fat ass security guards like, get the fuck down.
We're gonna harm you. Pyramids Let's see. Pyramid climber punishment. It's just a tombstone. Yes, they do take it very seriously. But, people do get up there. It doesn't seem like it's super rare for people to get up there. But this is some of the most interesting footage I've seen. And he was a teenager. He just ran off and did it. You can find that on YouTube. You can probably find it just about anywhere. I'm not seeing anything coming up. Offenders face up to 3 years in prison as a penalty. This is going back. So it says in 2016, a teenage tourist was banned from visiting Egypt for life after posting photos. So this guy will be banned for life and possibly, jailed. He'll probably just have to pay a fine and banned for life. Yeah. I mean, to deal with, especially if he's a foreigner, to deal with that could be just more hassle than it's worth in some sort of government to government sort of thing, But sure. Yeah, check it out. It's pretty amazing. Climbed all the way up there, popped a squat, took in the whole view. Fucking wild, but what a story to tell. And got some pretty great footage of step by step. And, there's so many different kinds of rocks, so many different kinds of bricks and materials used all the way up that it's a fascinating thing. And then there's I don't know if it's a lightning rod on top, but it looked like an old TV antenna. Look, can you imagine the reception you'd get at the top of the Great Pyramids? It just looked that up, and it just seemed like news after news after news of Egypt.
Did you watch it? Did you watch the footage of him getting to the top?
Yeah.
How long did it take him?
I'd seen it a long time too.
Well,
I watched it though. It's on YouTube, I think.
I don't know if I saw. Well, I only saw a truncated version of it.
Snippets.
The entire clip I saw was a minute and a half. They're all news clips, I think, showing clips of it. So I don't know. Maybe I was singing an old story. Maybe this is the guy. But anyway, doesn't look like this guy from 2016.
When you were talking about
prison.
No, the archaeologist that was cock blocking everybody. There's a site. It's one of the first ancient cities that they found. It's Göbekli Tepe. It's in Turkey, but it's supposed to be the oldest architecture on the planet that they found. The oldest cities, and look it up. They have a wiki page. We should actually make an episode about it. We never have.
Yeah.
They've excavated a portion of it, and it's literally barely a portion of it. Now what I heard through news things, there was somebody that was kind of cock blocking the excavation of all the rest of it.
There's so much.
They wanted to save it for later, so they had 100-year boycott on it. We don't want to touch it for another 100 years. And
let the curse rest for a bit longer.
Yeah, dude. The settlers that had inhabited it was in 9500 BCE, whatever the fuck. Born BCE. Common Era is what it. Before Common Era is what it stands for. But it's so fucking old, dude.
Well, there's so much to these excavations. It's like I said,
well, it's not even that. It's sanctioned off. I mean, it's literally, if you were to go there, you'd think it was active, but they have it completely closed off and almost set up as a tourist attraction. Is what the thing is. They're trying to make money off of it.
There was another big archaeological find in the Mediterranean. This hoard of all these jewels and weapons and stuff. The estimating 2,000-year-old. Let me read a little bit of this, and then we'll take a break and move on to some weird triv here. But connections to continental Europe, elaborate harnesses for at least 14 ponies, 3 ceremonial spears.
No, your head is.
2 ornate cauldrons or vessels, 1 lidded and 1 likely used as a wine mixing bowl were found. Jewels of all sorts. Some of the pieces of the harnesses were adorned with Mediterranean coral and colored glass. Some were larger than ones typically found in Britain. And it's just crazy to, Egypt, of course, is the place we think about all the time. But our entire planet, where there has been civilization for a long time, it's just like completely buried pasts. And, there are things involved like legalities and, government stuff, and also the more catty stuff that Zaire, I never get it right, Hawass, was famous for. But then there's also, respecting the dead and respecting, in the same way now, people used to go collecting arrowheads around here, and now that's thought to be disrespectful. You're taking shit from the people who were here before, and it's really not yours to take. But imagine an entire fucking city discovered, and it's fascinating. I mean, we want to see it because it's neato, and we can learn a lot about the past and about us as a society and a species. But it also is really a desecration of just, it's a type of plundering, and not everybody is in it to just be rich and famous. They're genuinely in it to discover and to learn. And I get that. It's a tricky thing. I'm of two minds about it, the same way I am hopping aboard the Great Fucking Pyramid and live streaming it. It's like, I hate it and I love it because it's just so fucking fascinating. But Jesus Christ, we talk about it so many times, how we have literally scratched the surface of the planet Earth. We have no idea what's fucking down there. Not really. So these kinds of stories that pop up always capture the image. But hopefully,
for sure,
we'll get some answers on this one way or the other. And if it's just nonsense technology or some sort of formation, that false alarm, but it could be the makings of some next level. It could also be something that would be wanted to be kept a secret. There are lots of people that know things and they don't think we know them. That's not a conspiracy theory. We talked about that on the old show. Did a few shows about these I can't remember what it's called, but they're like gatekeepers of the truth. You know what I mean? It's like there are operations involved in like modern day, like government entities that it's their burden to sort of keep certain secrets, even from the president, even from the government body as a whole. Not just plausible deniability, but because, and I think they touched on this in one of the big alien movies. It might have been Independence Day. That was based on a real group that is known to exist and has been known to exist, not just in modern governments, but going all the way back to antiquity. Of course, they touched on it on things like the Da Vinci Code, but that gets more into like the Templars, Knights Templar, and all that stuff, and keepers of the truth. We have a modern version of that, and boy, wouldn't you love to know what they know? Because every time we get
Freemasons,
the shit with like now we're really going to find out, Trump releases the JFK documents. It's like, it's the same thing we already saw last time he did it. And there's not much that we've learned. And I don't think that certain truths should be exposed necessarily, but I don't know what those truths are. So, you know what I mean? I kind of get the theory that there are some things that we as a society probably don't want to know, and maybe we're better off not knowing. Or how do you guys feel about that? I mean, sure, that's very generic, but
would there just I feel like some things would cause panic or unnecessary panic, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, it's
a feeling of hopelessness.
No, sure. It's kind of like a couple years back when you had that Christmas song and everybody boycotted it. And because it was written in the 1920s, it was like sexual abuse, to people now.
Baby, it's cold outside?
There's some, do you remember that? Yeah. I can't remember the name of the song.
I think you're talking about Baby, It's Cold Outside. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the song.
Everybody fucking freaked. No, sir.
Everybody freaked out and fucking, oh boy, gotta boycott that shit.
Not everybody freaked out. That was some internet fucking manufactured outrage bullshit.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's still a lot of people, but it's the same theory, if you bring out like if you found out that the government did kill JFK, how many people would be like,
I have no idea how you're connecting Baby, It's Cold Outside with keeping the
sometimes
secret
you don't need to know the truth. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just leave the past in the past.
Well,
let's take a break and get in some weird trip.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'll do
Did any of you happen to see the Sabrina Carpenter SNL thing with Paul Simon? Now,
no.
I'm sure you all know who Sabrina Carpenter is. I'm barely familiar with her music, but Ronster, you don't know who she is?
Well, I'll look.
I know the name.
I don't know the name.
She is a pop sensation. Very cute little blonde girl, but charming. I don't know her music at all, but she's a very big deal right now. And a great voice. And she got up. She did SNL recently, and Paul Simon was on SNL at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And they get up and do a duet together. And Paul Simon goes, I last sang this song on SNL in 1976 with George Harrison. And it pans to Sabrina Carpenter, and she goes, I wasn't yet born, and neither were my parents. She goes on to this beautiful little duet with him, but it was so funny. I was like, oh my God.
Paul Simon was hilarious on, he's been a frequent guest, and he hosted a few times. I don't know if he was hosting this time, but he was always fucking hilarious. One of my favorite bits from back in the 90s was when he and Victoria Jackson were stranded on a desert island, and they were celebrating, I don't know if it was an anniversary or Christmas or whatever. They're like, well, just because we're stranded on an island doesn't mean we can't, celebrate each other, and we're alive and together. And so he gives her, like, he made her a pot holder out of palm fronds. And she's like, that's so sweet. Well, here's what I gave you. And he's like, where'd you get the box? She's like, oh, I handcrafted it after making my own pulp from burning ashes. And there's this like, and then he opens it. It's a fucking watch. Like, a watch? Where'd you get a watch? It's like, well, I smeltered it myself. It's like, well, it kept going on and on and on. And he kept giving her like stupid things like, it's like, well, what are you even gonna do with the pot holder? That's just stupid. There's no pots on the fucking hilarious.
Weird Trivia with Christopher F. Hart, a man from Florida who thinks square shit in nature. Don't get me started on the goddamn brown hair. Weird trivia that might get Christopher fired.
All right. Let's do some weird trivia, guys. You ready?
Ready.
Yes.
All right. Bear with me on this one.
How about that?
This first question comes from a simpler time when George H.W. Bush was president. The good old days.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
Oh, my God. I expect a lot of impersonations from you in this question, please.
Okay.
Anyway, back in 91, this celebrity was invited to Camp David, where Bush and his wife were on retreat. It had just snowed, and the president suggested they go out sledding. The celebrity in question hopped onto a sled with the president, went careening down a hill, and plowed into Barbara Bush, sending her to the hospital.
Oh, I feel like that's the only possible.
Heavens to Betsy!
Yeah, she has a face that would go, oh. Yeah.
Who was the celebrity that nearly broke her leg while on a sled with the president? Who was it? Was it A, Morgan Freeman?
Morgan Freeman.
It looks as though we are going to crash.
You're not going to say it first. Morgan Freeman.
It's just the name. Just say his name. It's the best impersonation.
Morgan Freeman.
Christopher Walken. Yeah, okay.
I wish I put Walken in there.
Walken. We're falling.
Well, sledding.
Look
out, Mrs. Bush.
You gotta do it right.
Next thing I knew, I was eating Mrs. Bush. Mrs. Bush.
Oh my God.
Kind of went more John Travolta there, but
yeah,
I'm out of shape here.
So weird.
He's more cowbell.
Was it B, Sean Connery?
Or Sean Connery.
Boy, these are the impression voices. Should have went sledding with the Marx Brothers.
Next time I'll hit her with a closed hand.
Oh, they all have to end with oh.
Was it C, Jim Carrey?
All righty then. I can't do it. I can't do it, Jim Carrey. Oh, but I can do the Barbara. I got that part down.
You nailed that one. Or was it D, Arnold Schwarzenegger?
The car. Go on, move to it.
Get to the hospital.
Well, he's skiing, right? So he's like, pizza, French fry, pizza.
There's no break on the toboggan.
When you're skiing, you're supposed to do the pizza, you do the French fries.
It was a sled, but I appreciate where you went with that.
Whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, whatever. Again, this celebrity hopped onto a sled with George H.W. Bush and careened into his wife, nearly breaking her leg.
What the fuck do I not remember this? Seemed like that would have been a big story.
Yeah, totally. 91. Morgan Freeman, Sean Connery, Jim Carrey, or Schwarzenegger? Roundster.
Well, I gotta go Schwarzenegger.
All right, yeah.
I feel like even then, Morgan was too old to go sledding. Jim Carrey,
like 40 years ago? 30 years ago?
He was just always old. He's one of those guys that was always old. He's 122 now. I mean, do the math.
He's a badass.
I was about to say, Chris Walken. No, Jim Carrey, I can't imagine being invited anywhere near the White House, but God, that was the time. If Bush was trying to appeal to the young voters, if you know that game, let's see, who was B?
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. He seems like too old at that point to go sledding.
He's James Bond, man. He could go skiing down.
I'm gonna go with Arnold, and at least Arnold was in politics. So maybe
not that early.
He was years away from it, but he was always political.
Terminator, so
we'll see. Oh, I'm going with Arnold. There's no breaks in the toboggan.
Or at least that one where he goes to Mars, his eyes pop out.
To buy a cheap toboggan is no bargain.
Where the brakes on this thing? There's no brakes.
It was a thing.
Yeah, sure.
You gotta fill the silence with certain things.
I think I'm gonna go with Arnie as well.
Look out! Let's see, 91. What was he? Would be a movie of his. That's close to T2
movie.
era.
I would thought.
Let's see, Terminator 2 came out in 91. Yeah. So there's the reference for you.
There you go. Terminator 2. I'm gonna go with Jim Carrey. Because I think he was a popular enough guy back then. And goofy enough to go down a sled.
Yeah, but he was. Totally. I'm trying to think. Like he was still the Living Color guy at that point, right? Like
Living Color. He was probably just coming out of that, but he did Batman. He was the Joker in Batman, and that was
but I feel like
time.
I was.
He was the Riddler,
or the Riddler, yeah. But
the Mask. Yeah, I guess the Mask came out in 94, so that was right before he was peaking, perhaps.
He's still a star back then, for sure.
Totally.
Well, yeah.
This story happened back in 2022, and I've been saving it for a special occasion. This woman was traveling from an airport in Australia and wanted to take the ashes of her dead boyfriend with her, but didn't want to bother with all that pesky paperwork you need to do when you bring ashes on a flight. So instead, she attempted to smuggle his ashes through the airport in this way.
Her vagina.
Was it
A? I didn't know my mic was on. I'm sorry.
Was it A, by filling a plastic baggie with the ashes and then putting a note on top that said simply, "Definitely not cocaine"?
I'm sorry. Before we move on, you say baggie.
A baggie.
So you say bag, not bag. You're a bag. You're on team bag, not bag.
I need a bag.
A baggie.
See, I say baggie for a plastic baggie. But if I'm putting things in a bag, I say bag. So I guess I go both ways.
Interesting. You're a 360 bagger.
Front to back and back to front, all at the same time.
That's
what do they call that? It's a swirl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, perhaps.
You just kind of go around your asshole.
That's an advanced technique, Lau.
Yeah,
You got to work
Don't
your
jump
way up
right
to
into
the
the swirl.
You got to work your way up to the swirl. Never start at the swirl.
Did you
kids.
hear that? You go around the circle.
I feel like I kind of do that.
Yeah, totally.
I don't. I feel like I do a little. I think I'm at the advanced technique stage in my life. I do the swirl.
Make a little plop, do a little swirl.
Getting down to that.
Did she try to smuggle the ashes by putting them into a series of balloons and swallowing them?
That old risky
Definitely
thing. Well, yeah. Now these are ashes. Yeah, did I hear you right?
Yes. Yeah.
A mule for a loved one's ashes. That's a story.
Secret dead ash.
Was it C, by mixing the ashes into a bottle of lotion, which she applied to her skin on the reg?
Ooh, that's weird. That's fucking weird.
And then you
always wanted to travel.
I mean, well, that would work if they wanted their ashes scattered in water. Then you could just jump in the water and let the ocean,
There you go.
Wash it off,
lotion go to the ocean. Mm-hmm.
Goodbye.
Or
Goodbye, Mom. I don't remember what relationship it was, but
Yeah, it was boyfriend, I thought.
thanks for the memories and the hydration.
oh, boyfriend. Well, then lotion makes a little more sense. Mm-hmm.
Well, the fourth one will definitely make sense then. Or was it D, by putting them into a butt plug with a special compartment and wearing it through security?
Here we go.
A butt plug with a special
Doing a brony.
compartment.
You know?
Well, that's
Again.
got to be a pretty good way to smuggle a small amount of things.
Perhaps until you get to the body scan.
Well, that would come up. Yeah, that would definitely come up on a scan. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
Okay. Again,
Oh, goodness.
wanted to travel with her boyfriend's ashes. Didn't want to fill out the paperwork. Tried to get through security by taking them this way. Made the news for it. Again, was it A, by filling a plastic baggie with a note scrawled that says, "Definitely not Coke." B, by putting them in a series of balloons and swallowing them. By mixing them into a bottle of lotion, which she applied to her skin on the reg. Or by putting them into a special compartment in a butt plug and just doing it.
Man, well, I am torn between the butt plug
Doing it, pursuing it, if you know what I'm saying.
and the lotion one. The lotion is so bizarre.
Puts the lotion on the skin and it gets the hose again.
And I know you make up very bizarre ones all the time. I'm a fan of all these answers, honestly. I mean, I'd like definitely not Coke, but the butt plug is something that I bet somebody thought. I could see them not thinking it would show up on a scanner.
Dude, that'd have to be a huge fucking butt plug.
Well, you know,
Like
you don't
ashes in
necessarily have to scatter all the ashes.
It's just an urn with a tapered end.
Right? That's what I'm thinking. Like,
Just
put
get-
two
just
fists
get
in
through
that
security.
asshole.
Just get through security. Jesus Christ.
Gotta get this out.
I think I'm probably going to reward you for coming up with the lotion answer, but if you didn't make that up, then I'll be happy that was something that somebody thought up. That is so fucking ridiculous. But then the only way it makes sense is if they want their ashes scattered in some body of water, and you just jump your body into that body and it floats away.
Yeah, but how long you been putting your fucking lotion on, man? Weeks before you're
Well,
going
he said
on
the
vacation.
reg. Mhm.
On the rag. Gotta keep it. Soft, supple skin.
Not to be
With dead
confused with
people.
on the rag, as he might say on the bag or
Break,
baggie.
but on the-
Okay, John Mark.
Are you going butt plug, Ron? I just
No,
to
I
clarify.
I'm going with lotion because I do believe you made it up, but I appreciate the invention of it.
I'll go with the butt plug.
Get that drop. Get that drop. I will use that at some point.
Lyle.
I'm gonna go with the swallowed the small baggies because, like, if you were to like this is the only way it's gonna happen. Like, if we got to fucking do it this way, and she got caught in the news, you know, I'm thinking that they probably ran through her X-ray and knew that she had balloons in her stomach or something. And then she said, "But no, it's not cocaine. It's probably my
But no.
dead
boyfriend. I don't chew my chicken nuggets." Now, what I forget what the premise
also
was.
And like as maybe people might think, if you're a little fucking crazy, you might want to put a little bit of your boyfriend in your tummy anyway because you missed him so much. Always inside. I'm going with the balloons.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Question 3.
But why? Remind me why. Was this as a customs thing? Didn't want to go through the...
Yes, you want to do the paperwork.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Official.
Question 3. It's been reported that this famous musician is turning one of their biggest hit albums into a full-on opera. They intend to tour the opera. What musician is turning an album into an opera? Is it A, Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins?
So fucking funny. It popped into my head because I was just thinking, I feel like I'm seeing a lot of Billy Corgan lately, but
Is it B, Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance?
I would like to see that, please.
Is it C, Billy Joel Armstrong of Green Day?
Okay.
Or is it D, Madonna?
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel. Or is it
funny that you?
Or is it Eddie Money?
Eddie Money. Well, you can imagine Madonna. What would she be like?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, what album?
Like, she would just go like through the whole fucking discography of her fucking life. You know, start out like a virgin and have Lou Albano show up.
You might be taking me in a different direction.
Cindy
I wasn't
Lauper
going to go
maybe
with
show
Madonna, but the story of Madonna, as told through her songs, she did kind of sing like semi-autobiographical. I guess we all do to some degree, but she
well,
tended,
you could definitely make a stage show out of it.
She tended to mirror her lyrics to where she was with her life at that particular point. Madonna's had a lot of phases. Interesting. Okay, so Billy Corgan,
My Chemical Romance is Gerard Way.
He's done
Billy
some
Joel Armstrong. Yeah, totally. Or Madonna.
I think I'm going to go with Madonna. I probably would have gone with Billy Corgan just because even before you named him, that head popped into my name.
Totally. It's got the head too.
But I do feel like every feed on every social media app that I have right now is loaded with Billy Corgan clips from his new podcast.
Yeah, he's got a popular podcast.
But I haven't heard anything. I've enjoyed the clips that I've seen, but I don't. I haven't heard anything about it, so I'm going to go with Madonna.
He's pretty arrogant.
John Mark.
He is arrogant. He's kind of a weird. Like no one. Like he's always complaining that no one gives him enough credit, and he's always acting like everyone's ripped him off and ripped his sound off, and I don't know. He's not a terribly gracious rock star.
I'm gonna go with what I want to hear. Because I want to see My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
I want to see the Black Parade on fucking stage.
Well, that was what I was thinking. Like that was already kind of epic, though. But I think the funny thing is, like, I'm dying to know what the album. Like you said, this was about an album.
I will tell. Yeah, I will tell you.
Yeah. See, that's the way to. I'm trying to think about it. Like, it would have to be Dookie, right? Like if Green Day was gonna. Oh no, that could be American Idiot.
Yeah.
The American Idiot, the opera, very timely. Okay. Well,
it's kind of like, what was it? Queensryche, when they did the Operation Mindcrime.
Mm-hmm.
They did something similar to that, where it was almost like on the stage show was almost like a show.
Yeah.
You're watching it as the songs progressed, the story progressed. They had drops and, you fucking really get into it.
Well, a lot of those prog metal things.
That.
I mean, those are essentially rock operas to begin with, but.
Well, I would have loved to see that.
It would all work.
Question 4. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big fan of the movie Highlander. Fucking love that shit.
There can only be one Highlander.
I'm not a big fan of those movies. I've tried, and I don't. I feel like I just missed the boat because I watched them.
Good.
I watched them probably.
Sure. The show was good too.
10, 15. See, I remember the show more.
I
than
really
anything.
love the show too.
That was
soundtrack was great. The Queen soundtrack. Come on.
Was the show Christopher Lambert or was that someone else?
Kings.
What'd you say, Ron?
Was the show Christopher Lambert or was that someone else?
No, it was. Was it? What was his name? Was Adrian something?
Yeah, tall guy.
Ponytail. I can't remember. He was in Renegade, I think. The show too. I might have this people confused.
Wait, Lorenz.
I know. Watching the very.
No,
first
it's not
one.
Lorenzo Lamas. No, it's a guy that looks just like him though. But anyways, Henry Cavill's allegedly in pre-production on a remake of this, and I'm all about it. He's and I know Ronster's not really familiar with that name. We've gone over that. He's kind of the nerd fanboy smoke show. He was anyway. It's not relevant to the story. I did want to bring it up, but back to the original here. I found out that Christopher Lambert wasn't the first choice for the lead in this movie. In fact, it was offered to this actor who turned it down. Who turned down the lead role in Highlander? Was it A, Charlie Sheen?
Okay, I can see that.
Was it B, Kurt Russell?
Ooh.
All right.
Was it C, Mel Gibson?
Dude.
Okay.
Right.
Mel's fucking awesome, dude. Sorry.
I would have liked to see that.
As an actor, he's fucking amazing.
Yeah, as an actor.
Or was it D, Michael Douglas?
Huh.
Well, I have fun with these stories a lot because I think about who I'd like to see.
I love these too. But
yeah,
what is this? Late 80s Highlander?
I think mid 80s.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
These are all major stars at that point.
Yes.
Huh.
Highlander was released in 86.
Okay.
Again, this person was offered the lead role for the lead and turned it down. Was it Charlie Sheen, Kurt Russell, Mel Gibson, or Michael Douglas? Ronster.
I feel like these are all, especially at that era. I mean, was Christopher Lambert a known guy at that point, or was this the thing?
To my knowledge, that's the first thing I ever seen him in. But I'm sure he had many roles.
Total guess. I'm gonna go with Charlie Sheen just because I feel like. I mean, I know these guys were all big, but I feel like I'm just going for like the least big of them. I don't know why they would approach. I don't know. Well, you guys tell me. Is this fucking? I never really got the Highlander thing. I know it's a cult thing, but was it a big, like, huge movie? Was this like a big blockbuster?
Yeah, it was big enough, and they made
pretty popular.
So it makes sense to offer it to like a Kurt Russell.
Sean Connery was in it. I mean, it was a good movie.
Sean Connery was one of the first.
Yeah, but he was.
They made a TV show about it that lasted several seasons. Queen did the entire soundtrack for it. It was a big deal.
The TV show is fucking pretty awesome. I do not remember Queen
doing the soundtrack for it.
Yeah.
What? With Highlander?
Huh. Yeah. The entire soundtrack to Highlander is all Queen songs. Like, they made an album for it.
Oh yeah, there's a soundtrack.
That album by Queen, It's a Kind of Magic.
Yes,
that's basically the soundtrack to Highlander.
Yeah, they did it for it, if I'm not mistaken.
With a song or two from Iron Eagle on it.
Is that true? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. No.
They did that one song. There's a song in the Iron Eagle soundtrack that they did. It's on that album too, I think.
Okay.
Fucking nerd.
Yeah.
A little tidbit here: the Henry Cavill remake they're doing is supposed to be really relevant to the original, and they're using the same soundtrack apparently, which I was stoked to hear.
Well, I get why I don't know anything about Highlander, but I should have known the Queen thing. I'm more disconnected from this franchise than I even thought.
You should have known the Highlander anyway, because.
All I can remember is there can only be one, but I think that's because that's been lampooned.
There can be only one.
I'll say, well, there you go. There must only be one.
There must only be one.
There's only one Capri Sun. That's the only line I remember from the entire movie. I'm gonna stick with old Charlie.
Okay, John Mark.
Shit, I can't remember the fucking options now.
Charlie Sheen, Kurt Russell, Mel Gibson, or Michael Douglas?
I'll just go with Kurt Russell.
Okay.
Man, what a different movie.
You know who I would
definitely
like
would
to
have
see?
watched it at that point.
I would like to see the guy that played The Witcher on the Netflix Witcher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's literally
similar.
What I said. Yeah, that's what I said. It's doing the new one.
What is he? He's the one that's doing it.
Yeah, he's gonna be the new. He's gonna.
Dude,
right.
Cool, dude.
It's gonna be fucking great,
good, dude. That's I'm shit with names. Dude.
There must only be one you can toss your Witcher coin to.
Nice.
That'll turn a phrase.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would like Mel Gibson is a fucking god. I'm sorry, like for acting and stuff like that, he's fucking amazing.
Just a Jew-hating god.
Well, especially
it doesn't matter what you want to believe in his beliefs.
Just a woman-beating god.
Well, no, going back to separating the artist from the art, it's hard sometimes.
Totally.
But he could be a fucking voice actor.
Well, imagine our childhoods without Mel Gibson. You can't.
It would be horrible.
Weird. Yeah.
Just like Kurt
Lethal
Russell
Weapon,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Kurt Russell.
Complicated
because
world.
I don't think he would take Charlie Sheen's such a freak, and he would never do anything like that. I know he did Robin Hood and shit like that, or Men in Tights, I should say.
Men in Tights, the spoofs.
You know, but
that's where he was at that time. Well,
there
that's
can be only one with tiger blood winning.
That's the cross reference between like him and the Highlander. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, sure.
His was fucking Men in Tights.
Did Charlie Sheen actually once say "butthole is like a drug to me"? Do you guys know that quote?
What?
You ever heard that quote?
The tiger blood, maybe.
I kept seeing it in memes, but I feel like I went to look it up one day. I was like, "What do you mean by that?" He's like he's just a big fan of butthole, but yeah,
his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, he got AIDS and he somehow cured himself. I don't know how he did it, but he.
On that note, let's go through the question series. Who took the trophy home? There can be only one winner.
There can only be one.
Only one or one tiebreaker.
Fine, I'll watch Highlander. Is it worth watching all of them though, or should I just stop at
no,
one?
just
Watch the first one.
Yeah, watch the first series. The first season.
No. The movie,
just watch the movie.
Yeah,
I know. I
haven't watched it in 15 years, but
The first
I remember loving it.
It's dated.
Yes, it's dated, but it is the best of all the Highlander
It's
content.
good, but it's dated. Well,
I felt like it was pretty dated when I
badass.
watched it like 20 years ago or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. I watched it way too late.
Totally.
Yeah.
Back in 91, this celebrity was invited to Camp David where President Bush and his wife were on retreat. President Bush was like, you know what we should do? We want to go on an adventure? Let's go out sledding. And the celebrity was telling the story on an interview recently. He was like, yeah, we went out there and it wasn't really a sled. It was more of a toboggan. We couldn't really steer it. And we were careening down towards a tree and we tried to adjust and we turned and fucking Barbara Bush stepped right out from behind the tree and we just fucking clobbered her. And she screamed in pain. They had to take her to the hospital. They thought her leg was broken. It was just a bad sprain. That was the noise she made for certain. And we were talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
What's noise?
Yeah.
Get out of the way, turret.
Barbara!
What a fucking sight, man. Okay.
No, Barbara!
President Bush and Arnold Schwarzenegger, circa T2, careening down a hill in a fucking unsteerable toboggan.
Would you like to see that?
I don't like our chances.
Into Barbara Bush.
Yeah.
I think we're going a little too fast.
Oh man,
good.
if it was the era of iPhone, boy, we'd be playing the shit out of that.
My question,
yeah.
is, what was she doing? What was she doing behind the tree? Was she peeing? Maybe she took a little pee behind the tree and then came out and got hit.
I hope nobody shot there.
Whoa.
My God, she's dead for sure. we killed her. What's it? Is it called First Mom? Does the president's mom have a title?
I don't know.
First Parent?
First Parent would be good.
What a
Ron and John
fucking
Mark got
story.
that correct for a point. A pop.
Maybe that
He's
never
up
came
strong
out
there.
back then. Maybe that was hushed.
Well, I mean, it was so long ago. It was before internet, before,
TMZ.
maybe it just never.
It'd be all over that fucking story.
This.
I'm still kind of sad you guys didn't laugh harder at my to buy a cheap toboggan is no bargain.
I think it's funny.
That kind of makes me feel better. Felt like that was a pity laugh, but we'll move on.
It was. This happened back in 2022. A woman traveling from an airport in Australia wanted to take her dead boyfriend's ashes with her and didn't want to bother with the paperwork. So she put the ashes into a butt plug,
Oh my god!
inserted it
holy
into
shit, I
inside
got
of
it right.
herself, and she went viral because she was posting a bunch of like Instagram or Snapchat of her journey, and she said, I wanted him to come with me the way he enjoyed to be with me the most.
Oh,
was like a direct quote.
In the
And,
butt.
Kind of beautiful.
The last
in the butt.
she was stopped by security because they scanned her and said, "Ma'am, there's something on your person."
Something
And
in-
she's like, "Yes, it's a butt plug." And
More
like,
likely in your person. Mhm.
But at one point, she had snapped a picture of herself, kind of looking off into the distance, and the little black bar across it said, "He's still with me."
Oh god!
Wow.
Which made me kind of go, "Oh."
What was the punishment?
I don't recall. I think that there
Just
is.
happened to do the
You're
paperwork.
welcome to wear a butt plug on to a plane. I believe it was just like they had to like man, we found a piece of metal, blah blah blah. They had to kind of go through it.
Sure.
And they let her just I think they let her take it, but I think she had to remove it. But I don't know. It's ashes, man. It's fucking weird. Weird story.
He's still with
Yeah.
me.
He's still with me. John Mark got that correct, giving him a second point.
Mile High Club in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
And the butt, Bob. Bob and the butt.
Ashes to ashes, butt to butt. Yeah.
It's
kind of a sweet story if you think about it.
Sure, yeah. She was young too. She was like 23 or something. He died young.
Yeah.
It's been reported that this famous musician is turning one of their biggest hit albums into a full-on opera. They intend on touring it. We weren't talking about Madonna. Sorry, Ronster. We weren't talking about Billy Joel Armstrong of Green Day. I'm sorry, John Mark. We weren't talking about Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance. Lau. I'm sorry, Ronster. You should have gone with your gut. It was Billy Corrigan, who's turning Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness into a full-on opera.
See, I didn't think of that album.
Yeah.
Pretty epic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll be interesting for sure.
They all have epic albums that would work. But yeah, funny. Well, maybe I did hear that, and I just I don't know. But I was convinced that the only reason he was in my head is because he's in my feed everywhere I fucking go, mostly because of that podcast. But,
he's in mine too.
Yeah,
that's weird. Question 4, Highlander, motherfucker. There one can only be.
Okay,
Yoda
easy.
Only one there, maybe.
You take the Highlander, I take the Lowlander. And only there can be one.
Unless you're getting on a plane with my ashes, then you're taking the back road lander. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
He's with me
I
now.
found out Christopher Lambert wasn't actually the first choice for the lead in this movie. In fact, it was offered to Kurt Russell,
No
who
shit.
almost took it. But Goldie Hawn, his wife, said, "Don't take this movie," and instead he took Big Trouble in Little China. They came out.
Oh,
the exact
fuck
same
yeah.
year.
Oh, that was the same time? Huh.
Same time. Same year those movies came out.
Well,
John Mark and Lyle got that correct. Congratulations, guys. But John Mark with 3 correct answers tonight.
Nice work.
The king
It's a tough
has
round.
returned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, triumphantly. What did I get? 1? I think I got 1 right.
You did too. Yeah.
Man, Highlander came out the same time Big Trouble. That's hard to believe. But can you imagine if he had taken that, and then who'd we have had in Big Trouble in Little China? That would have been a whole different thing.
Mel Gibson.
You can't
But I
see.
would have liked. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say maybe that Carpenter wouldn't have made it until Kurt was
He would've
available,
waited,
because he was kind of like, I mean, Kurt Russell is to Carpenter like Kyle MacLachlan is to Lynch, right?
That's true. They'd done The Thing. They'd done Elvis. They'd done. Was there more?
I mean,
I think Big Trouble
Escape
was
from
the
New York,
third.
Escape from L.A.
Yeah, that was later.
I think it was a mistake because I know I have an affinity for the Highlander movie, but I think Christopher Lambert was fine. But if Kurt Russell had been in that movie, I think it would have been a better movie. Like it would have been even better.
Of course.
And that could have made a better sequels for it. I don't know.
Well, has Christopher Lambert gone on to do other things of note?
I mean, barely. I mean, he's been in a ton of shit, but like the
find
next
him
thing I can
incredibly
remember is
generic.
Mortal Kombat. When he was Raiden.
Oh God, remember that?
Oh yeah.
I find him generic. I found that
Yeah.
movie. I kind of remember that. I'll watch it again and I'll report back.
Yeah.
But I remember that movie just kind of being a generic. It's one of those 100 movies that came out in the 80s that were like fantasy or sci-fi, whatever genre you want to call it.
Highlander has something special about it, dude.
I agree with you.
All right.
Yeah.
I trust you. I'll give it another go. But could have been where I was at too.
You got Clancy Brown chewing the scenery as the Kurgan. It's fucking great, man.
Well, shit. All you had to say was Clancy Brown.
He's so good.
Yeah,
He's got that fucked up neck scar.
I don't
with,
remember
a bunch
these
of paper
things.
clips hanging from it.
I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
And then there's an awesome scene where Sean Connery dies trying to defend his wife. Remember? And then
In the castle.
he doesn't know. Like the thing is
Spoilers.
Man, total spoilers. Sorry, my bad.
4-year-old
I haven't
spoiler.
seen it thrice. I think it's fair to spoil a 40-year-old movie at this point.
Yeah. I would like to. I would like you to watch it and let me know.
Well, I'm looking up right now if it's streaming anywhere.
Now I'm gonna watch it again.
I want to too.
Highlander
Movie club.
Movie club.
we never figured that out because we're not as smart as 14-year-olds that have been doing this for 10 years. Okay, it's on Peacock. Oh wait, that might be the series.
Peacock.
The Peacock. Let me get on there and see if that's the movie. If that's the movie, then I will watch it because I just wrapped up White Lotus. I got a couple other series that I want to check out, but I can put that.
Kevin Bacon's got a new series out that I want to watch. I can't remember, The Repo or something.
Yeah, that looks interesting.
I kind of want to watch that.
Yeah, it's on Peacock.
I'll watch it. And as soon as I pulled up Peacock, I saw one of the last movies I watched, and I want to recommend it to lovers of bizarro cinema. Not too off the wall, but definitely kooky, and that's called The Love Witch. Now, I may have talked about this director at some point over the last 15 years that we've been doing this podcast. Her name's Anna Biller, and we met on MySpace when she was making her first movie, and I was working on Groom Lake. And we just met in this like filmmaking forum, and she was working on her first movie called Viva, and it was a total throwback to the 70s, like sexploitation stuff, tons of sex, tons of nudity, but in crazy accurate and over the top like 70s style and design. And she built all the sets, she designed the costumes, she wrote and directed and edited the movie. She's really impressive human being. And the Viva is super kooky and bizarre, and it's mostly like a story of sexual assault told with this kooky 70s, everything sexual is treated like lighthearted. And there was kind of a statement on that. But she just did, well, not just, this is 10 years old at this point. I think this is her second or third feature movie called The Love Witch. Still has that super, almost Hammer horror movie from the 70s vibe, but it's about this satanic witch cult. It's like set in modern time, but a lot of it looks and feels like the 70s. It's hard to explain, but oddly hypnotic and really well done. I recommend The Love Witch. John Mark, I know you'll enjoy it.
I'll check it out.
You love these kinds of themes. The Love Witch. Yeah, interesting movie. Oh, I did watch Maid finally. I think that's come up on the podcast.
Yeah, I like that show.
Tough,
the series, right?
Tough watch, frustrating watch, and especially frustrating. It's about the story of an abusive relationship, and the mom takes the kid out of the abusive relationship and tries to make it as a single mom, and just dealing with all the hardships. Becomes a maid to pay for herself, but it's just all this nonsense of having to try to qualify for programs and all these benefits, and just trying to survive while dealing with an abusive ex. And it was a really good movie, and I really good series, and I recommend it. But it was really, especially hard to watch now when we got all these fucking billionaires. And it's just like we're in this era of the billionaires, and it's like there's enough money, man, that people shouldn't have to live like this. But it was really frustrating. But it was a powerful watch, and not a feel-good series.
Yeah, but a good series.
All, but a really, really good series, and I blasted through that. Just one season, so that's I think all of my watching. We didn't talk much Severance, but it's still going, and that season finale, recent season, was really interesting. Curious to see where that goes. This is one of those shows that can go anywhere. I am still watching X-Files. Lyle, you said last time we were talking, or one of the last times that you were watching X-Files.
Yeah, I'm like season 6.
I was wondering where you're at. I jumped back into season 3. I've rewatched them so many times that I love from season 3 to season 5. I think that's like my favorite era of X-Files.
I like it all the way until Mulder leaves, until David Duchovny quit. He quit for a little while and he came back, and then he did the movie.
I appreciate those. Remember that first movie was so fucking good.
Yeah,
it was so good, and that second movie was so not good.
Right,
so disappointing. But that first X-Files movie is fucking great. I don't know why people don't talk about it more. It was just like it was a longer
like a 2.5-hour episode.
Yeah, it was.
You're like, wow,
but it was good.
Going and going.
It was really, really good. But I'm on season 3 now, and it's just like, man, I fucking love this era of the X-Files.
I was able to watch. It's on the History Channel. I was in dialysis, and it would air the David Duchovny where he's hosting. Strange stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this is fucking awesome."
Yeah,
he looks old. He looks old as hell now, but just the premise of it, it makes me happy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, even just talking about like the Egyptian stuff, and I miss talking about some of these things. Like
no, for sure.
A lot of it, you go so far down a road, and then you're like, okay, we got to the total horseshit thing, but there's still a lot to talk about with UFOs, and God, there's so much happening right now that's not getting the attention because, like I said, there's so many other like political and major like global economic things happening. But there's a lot of kooky things happening. I foresee a few episodes in the not too distant future delving into some of these classic topics of yore.
So can I elaborate on that only good news I had?
Oh, what was that?
So I had an appointment with the disease control, I guess, or whatever they call themselves. It was the people that made me basically take all the antibodies for the TB, tuberculosis treatment for 6 months. I went to get my stuff renewed, because I was like, what the fuck? It's taken the Safeway 2 weeks to get this refilled, and it just it got to the point where they did refill them, but then I went and had a sit down with the guy, and he goes, well, you're done with your treatment. It's it's been 6 months, and that's all you had to take it for.
That went fast for me.
So yeah, dude. And so like you got a green fucking check mark.
Nice.
So and if anybody asks you about it, all you have to do is say you went through the therapy and you're done with it, and you don't have it. And I go, well, I didn't have it before because I have documented proof from fucking but
it was a weird thing.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it's the red tape. It's the red tape I've been fucking around with for 7 years.
Yeah.
The state of Washington, you're only supposed to wait 5 years for a kidney if you're on a transplant list. And I'm 7 years just trying to get on the list.
Yeah.
Isn't
that crazy? I was just thinking about that. Like how many years it's been since you have been dealing with this shit. It's wild that it's still going on.
Oh, it's horrible.
Thank God you didn't know, like back then, thank God you didn't know that you'd still be dealing with this shit and like still just trying to get that kidney. That would have been too.
I didn't know. I
depressing.
thought I was going to die.
Well, yeah.
When we closed down the other episode, the other podcast, I had no guarantees. So it's just like
we recorded half of our last episode of Tales from the Space Pod at WenCon. Yeah. And then I think either we finished it I think we started at WenCon, then we finished it in the studio, and then we put a cap on Tales from the Space Pod. There's a photo of us doing the live podcast at WenCon, and you just look so unwell and so miserable. And you didn't, we must have started with WenCon because you didn't know at that time. I don't think you knew at that time that you had cancer.
Yeah, I think I knew I had cancer, but I didn't have it taken out.
Well, I think
I wasn't going through dialysis. I
have to go back and listen to it. But you were looking at that photo. It's like that was like just the start of things getting really bad. I'm like, Jesus, that was so long ago.
It is so long ago. It was a long time.
Well, congrats on being TB free. That is no small feat. And as someone who has been in a very small car with you for several hours, it's good to know.
Congratulations to you.
If I get
made
any
out
symptoms,
in the hotel room,
6 months. Yeah,
that's why I didn't French kiss you.
Well, that's why you spit and didn't swallow.
We celebrate all this. Like back at you.
Literally.
Oh, but I was just getting better.
Well, congratulations, buddy. I'm still ready to be your man. Nice. For your kidney transplant, brother, we'll make it happen. Let's do it.
Yeah. I'm excited.
What a party that will be.
I don't know where to go from here, but it's hopefully, I think it's just the heart. Make sure that my heart's able to do it, and then I think that's enough to put me on the list. But
yeah.
Hell yeah.
One more thing.
Well, all my nurses and my doctors got together like a week ago, and they had to sit down without me, which kind of sucked. I always like to be there, because that way I could at least defend myself. But they said that I was stable, and not, it's just good because the option is unstable, and that's not going to get you on the list.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's something to celebrate and a good note to end on. I think we'll be back next week. We'll do a couple more episodes back to back before our next hiatus. And we'll just keep on putting these up when we can. Thank you all for still supporting, especially the 3 of you who are still giving a little bit of money to our Patreon. If you want to support the podcast, I got to say, if we had more money coming in the podcast Patreon, we'd be doing this more
motivation.
Talesfromthespacepod.com or patreon.com/talesfromthespacepod. I don't think we ever changed it. I think it's still the patreon.com/talesfromthespacepod. So, and even $1 or $5 or $1 million a month will help.
1 million.
Mm-hmm. But either way, we'll keep these trucking along because, as we've said many, many times, the only time we all hang out, which is sad, but that's where we're at in life. I like to imagine that at some point things will mellow out for all of us and we'll all be in the same room together. And but we're way overdue for that. But until then, tune in next week, 9/11, y'all. Going to be a barrel of laughs, that one. And we will see you then.
Watch Highlander. One there only can be, Ron.
Only one. And that
only
can
be there can one.
I can only, you must only watch the one. I think we've covered it every which way you possibly can watch it.
I think you should watch the first season at least.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
All right.
It's only like 10 episodes or something.
Well, who knows? Maybe I will.
Good night, guys.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Rafe, someone just shit a biscuit. That so sounded like
I
turd
moved my
into
microphone
toilet.
Twang.